How are you all doing today? Sorry, it's my first time public speaking for the first time. It's a bit nervous to say the least, but I want to thank all of you first and foremost for being here. My name is Tamilore Awonusi. You guys can call me Tam. It's definitely a lot easier. I was invited up here to tell you a little bit about myself and how I fell in love with this program that we're all blessed to experience today. So just to clear the confusion, as you probably already know, the accent hails from Dublin, Ireland, where I was born and raised. And I can see some puzzled faces in the crowd. There are black people in Ireland, as well as leprechauns. But, you know, it's funny. I think I meet a lot of people out here, and I get that look of bewilderment on their face as to why there's a 6'6" black man Irish in Langley. But I find a lot of beauty in that. We're gathered here today through our love of sport and faith. I first met Coach Andy Evans in 2020 at a tournament in Washington, D.C. He approached me and mentioned a new program that was brewing in Langley, British Columbia. I think it was safe to say I was dismissive, given the fact that I didn't know where British Columbia was, let alone ever been to Canada. I was actually moving over to New Zealand at the time. I just received my first professional opportunity with Waikato Rugby, and I was pretty excited. It was my first time getting a professional experience. I was only 19, but you know, my first game there, in the first 5 minutes, I ruptured my PTFL, broke my leg, and fractured my ankle, and required 2 surgeries in the very first game. You know, it's safe to say I was pretty disappointed, but I wasn't aware of what would follow. Previously, before going to Waikato, I was in university in the States, and you know, I could give you the spiel of being 18 in a foreign country by myself as to why I didn't do well in school, but the reality is I was playing Modern Warfare in my friend's basement. But look, don't tell my mum that, please. But look, after New Zealand and my injury, I decided I wanted to continue my education. You know, being injured made me realize it's important to have other options outside of sports. But you know, with my grades being so low, every coach I spoke to in the States told me they couldn't provide a scholarship with my grades. So it was my fault at the time, and I had to accept that. You know, I was at one of the lowest points in my career. I couldn't access the 2 things that I valued the most in life, which was my sport and education. And you know, as classic as it is for people in my situation, these are really the only times that we call on God. And I remember praying in a hospital bed in New Zealand after my surgery, and I was asking God to turn this around for me and, you know, help me find a way through this. And he did. A couple months later, I got back in touch with Andy. We spoke about attending Trinity, except this time around, I actually Googled British Columbia. And what really surprised me with Andy was his genuineness. I'd spoken to multiple coaches in the States at this point, and, you know, the conversation started with, here's how much I can offer you. Andy was the first coach to ask me, how's your rehab going? How's your family? Can I pray for you? And, you know, at the time, he didn't realize how big of a deal this was for me because, you know, it's just a natural thing that he would do. But I could tell straight away how intentionally he was with the program and what he was trying to achieve. And, you know, I was honest with Andy from the get-go. I told him I'd love to be a part of the program, but the reality is I can't afford it. The man didn't break a sweat. He said, you know, God will make a way, and he prayed for one, and I prayed for one with him. So through events like today and Compete Champion fundraisers that, you know, we normally host in the summer, it makes it possible for people like myself to come here. Now, I know many of you aren't familiar with rugby, but coming from Ireland, we're the number 1 ranked country in the world for rugby, ahead of the All Blacks, South Africa, and the likes. That's just a little plug there. But coming to Trinity, I'd pretty much given up on the dream of playing rugby professionally and representing the place that I call home. But, you know, last year I received a call from the director of Irish Rugby offering me a contract for our national program after seeing footage of me playing here in Trinity in Canada. Look, you know, you will be thanked so many times today, but I just wanted to offer a personal thank you. Because of donors like yourself and the ones that have come before you, the magnitude of your present never goes unappreciated. You actualized a dream of mine in becoming a professional rugby player, representing my country, playing in front of 30,000 people, and becoming an Olympic hopeful. Had I not attended Trinity and developed as an athlete, an academic, and most importantly, a person grounded in his faith, I wouldn't achieve the things I dreamed of achieving as a child. So thank you all so much for being here today, and I really appreciate it.